What's happening, financial coaches? It's Pete here, founder of Expedition Money, and I wanted to talk to you today about something I've talked about before, but I want to give you something specific to think about as an alternative, because I see this a lot. I keep seeing it over and over again. I don't know if it is veteran coaches or new coaches or just like our tendency as coaches. And let me explain. I'm here and I'm trying to be passionate about this because I have been in this situation, not for brief moments, but for years, for a long time. I have talked about goals, and SMART goals have been around forever. But basically what I see a lot, and this has come up a few times in the last couple days here, is that when I am reviewing some of the stuff that people want to use as their either worksheets or their curriculum or their syllabus or whatever it is, their course, their workshop, man, so much of it has goals. Pick a goal, pick a date, and then figure out your timeline. Get there. Remind yourself of the goal. Forget goals. I don't want to get into this too much on the goal side, but goals are irrelevant. They're unhelpful. They are arbitrary. They are depressing. They are dejecting, right? If your goal is to be a millionaire and you have in the next 6 months saved $200, what kind of progress is you? If that were any other number, any other goal, a million of anything, a million books read, and you had 200 done, and you realize, holy smokes, that took me a long time, you would just give up, right? There are so many things out there. There are so many pieces of content that are written about goals, research studies that show goals are actually self-defeating. And I'm not saying that you can't ever have a goal, or when you hit a goal, that's great. But they're really, to me, overused, especially in coaching. We use them a lot in business and other things as well. But when you're in the business world, for example, the company I was at, they had a $10 billion business goal. And it was like a, 7-year timeline on this, right? $10 billion, 7 years. Guess what? That was hyped in the year that, hey, we've got 7 more years to work on this. But guess what? They didn't bring it up every month. Here we are. This is where we stand on our goal of $10 billion. This is where we stand on our goal at the end of the year. Essentially, you just forgot about it. They never brought it up. And because you don't want to measure yourself to that on a day-to-day basis, on a year-to-year basis, to be really honest. I want to say after the first year, they were like 900 million or 990 million towards that goal. So that's actually a pretty good. They're ones. I guess they're only 1/10 of the way there, and they've used 1/7 the amount of time, but as you should get some compounding effects. But maybe there was some side talk about, okay, we're about $1 billion on the way. But you don't want to keep bringing that up because the people who are working every day, the people who are coming into the office every day, the people who are working on underwriting and doing claims or whatever it might be, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant to think of what is this going to do towards that goal, because in and of itself, any particular sliver you might look at is going to be inconsequential. It is the total combined effort, and you need a certain amount of time to measure towards that. So to me, goals, even the small goals, like, hey, I want you to save $1,000 emergency fund. For people who have $0 left at the end of the month, they have zero cash flow or positive cash flow. It is going to take a while to figure out how to figure out the cash flow so that we can start making progress towards that goal. You actually might have to work on getting to positive cash flow to pay off some debt before we can really start making inroads into saving. So my issue here is that I have seen, and hey, take a look at this. List out the 10 goals. List out the goals you want over the next 5 years. List the goals you want over the next 10 years. List the goals you want in your lifetime. And it's all these goals. Making a list of goals and even breaking it down in some ways isn't particularly helpful. It's helpful to me, and I've said this before, it's helpful to me and hopefully to you to talk about goals as a direction. If your goal is to retire and someone else's goal is to work forever, those are different goals. If your goal is to save as much money for college, for your kids' college as possible, and someone else has a goal of focusing on retirement because they're going to let their kids figure out the college situation, those are different goals, right? Different directions. So that's where I'm saying the goals are interesting to me from a standpoint of picking a direction and developing a strategy. But I always talk about processizing, that's the word I've made up, but figuring out a way to integrate that progress towards that goal in your life. Because, like I said, in the business example, if the process is to come in and push out your claims as quickly as possible, do the underwriting as quickly as possible, find better clients, right? These are the things that you will own on a regular basis that will help you get to those goals. But on any one day, any one case, any one project is irrelevant. But what we are doing is we're making progress towards that. And like I said, $1 billion in the first year of a 7-year timeline is not enough to get to $10 billion by then. But what we're hoping is that it's 1 billion this year, 1.1 next year, 1.3, 1.4. So it's going to compound if you're doing the right things. So I have talked about this a lot. I've talked about my process of dumb goals. For me, I never planned to have hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in income from various sources or passive income. I never planned to be a landlord or own real estate. I never planned to have a car collection or whatever it might be. I didn't plan and have a goal for any of those things. But I have them because I had a process that just led me to them. And to be honest, what I'm trying to say here is I wasn't smart enough to have a plan. I wasn't smart enough to pick goals and to figure out what I needed to do with them. I just didn't have the experience. I didn't have the vocabulary to do them. But what I knew is that I could take the next step ahead. Here's the direction I'm going, and here's the work and the tasks that I can do to get me there. And so I was working on those things and doing it, and then I would discover new things. I would talk to someone who's, oh, dude, you should do this with your property. This will help really free up a lot of cash. I remember getting into a home warranty and putting a home warranty on the property, and holy smokes, my annual expenditures on maintenance and repairs just vanished. So it was like just doing the things that I needed to do along the way got me to these points where I would be able to discover new opportunities, new ideas, new tools that would help me level up to the next one. And now I can share those with people that are working on those, that are coming along the path that I was on. But what I'm saying is that it's that process. It's the process of creating habits and integrating progress in your life that works. Now, what I wanted to say here was that you don't have to believe me. You might say, Peter, it's just dumb luck. I'm saying it's dumb luck because I wasn't smart enough to know that what I was doing would lead me anywhere. Honestly, anywhere. I was just trying to solve problems at the time. I was just trying to address things at the moment or of the day, right? For instance, I remember reviewing a case for an iPad. I wasn't trying to do anything with it except figure out how I could help other people who were trying to find a case for their iPad and say, hey, here's a case I bought. Here's what it does. It's hard plastic. It snaps on the back, prevents my iPad from scratching, but it's pretty smooth. And the problem is if you put it on a table, it might slide around and fall off the edge. It sticks in my mind because I remember saying all those things when I was sharing my thoughts on this iPad case. I never knew that was going to lead to a business reviewing tech and consumer products. I never knew that would lead to consulting to companies on CPG and consumer products and branding and target markets and all those other things. What I'm saying is you don't have to know about version 2.0, 3.0, 5.0, 11.0, 50.0. What you can do is just know that what you're working on today is making progress. And my process, which I call dumb processes, DUM, B, and it's the next stage of SMART goals. So if you have used SMART goals, you're like, all right, I get SMART goals. I see them all the time. They're not really that interesting. They're not really leveling up anything for anyone. Maybe you should try dumb goals. Reach out to me. I'll share more about the dumb goal process. But if you don't believe me on this, I would read the book Atomic Habits. And I'm going to have to give you the James Clear, the author here in a second because I couldn't remember his name. But Atomic Habits, I wish I had read earlier. So my dumb goals process was built on my experience. And what I realized then by reading Atomic Habits by James Clear, Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones, is about habits. But what he's really saying is that the habits create success. That's the reveal. That habits lead to much greater things because habits in and of themselves, any one of those actions is irrelevant. But it's the compounding effect that makes incredible achievements realized, right? Those small habits lead to incredible things. Same with me. So we just converged, I think, and he does it in a much more thorough and thoughtful way. But I was reading that book and I totally agreed with everything that he's saying because basically what we're saying is the goal, the end point, that arbitrary objective that you picked is irrelevant. And it's really irrelevant because picking a goal doesn't do anything. I mean, it doesn't in and of itself do anything, right? What we need is that action that gets us there. And that's what we think of coaches. Oh, okay, you put down the goal, now we can split it up. But I tell you what, if someone wants to save $1,000 this month and you're like, all right, well, that's $30 a day. So how are we going to save $30 a day? I'm just telling you, this is the reveal. That does nothing for the client, right? Take saying $1,000 in 30 months and then telling them that's $33 a day does nothing. That is just saying it in a different way. How about $2,000 in 2 months? It doesn't give me anything actionable to make that happen. So it's one of those things I see coaches do all the time. They're like, if you just save $5 a day, the problem is not that, oh, I didn't break it down, $5 a day. At the end of every day, I'll just put a $5 bill in a jar. The problem is, hey, I'm not saving any money. All right, just breaking down a goal into a daily amount is just restating the same thing in a different way. So what you need to do is you need to find a process. You need to find habits, actions that get people there. And then to me, the goal is irrelevant. If you're making that progress, that's the only thing that matters to me. And if you don't believe me on it, which you shouldn't, yes, should. I'm just a Muppet. I'm just a Muppet here. Don't believe everything that I say. But go ahead and check out James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. Read through that. It's a pretty easy read. It's chock full of stuff. It's actually a fast read because it's not a lot of theoretical stuff. It's just idea on top of idea. It reminds me a little bit of Clark Howard's book, Living Large in Lean Times, where it's just like money-saving idea after money-saving idea after money-saving idea. So in some ways, Atomic Habits is a better business or psychology or self-improvement book than a lot of others in terms of its ease of reading. But I think he makes a much better case than I am here that tiny changes result in remarkable results. And I think you can be far better equipped from that book. If I could have written that book, oh man, I would have. But I think you can be far better off by reading that book and then understanding maybe why I'm so anti-goals and so much more pro-process. And so if you want to read that, pick it up. And if you end up coming to my side of the team here, saying that, all right, goals are less relevant, no, they're not. I'm not trying to be absolute about this. Right? Goals are relevant, but I think so many people in our industry, so many industries, it's not just us. It's like identifying the goal. That will make all the difference. Identifying and connecting to your why. That'll make all the difference. Let's talk about motivation. I don't believe that the goal makes a big difference. I don't believe that motivation is really particularly relevant to getting stuff done. I don't think that those things are really what make incredible results. They help for sure, but unfortunately, so much of our business is built on the foundation of those two, and everyone's touting them and getting the same mediocre results. So pick up Atomic Habits. Let me know what you think. You can feel free to disagree with me on this, take another side to it for sure, but that's where I stand on it. And hopefully that kind of helps you level up too. I'll see you later.